Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about the past, letting go, and developing your identity, even if it is your new identity, the new best chapter of your life. And that brings me to a place where I think we all need to have some sort of identity other than our day-to-day roles, something that identifies you. It identifies who you are, who you want to be, what you're going toward, what your goals are. And it doesn't matter about anybody else hearing your goals or knowing your goals. It's that you feel them and you can identify with it yourself. What's real interesting is as we go through life and we know who we are, and a big part of that is what we identify with in terms of careers, hobbies. And that takes me to another place. Let me back up for a second. It's when people retire, everybody tells them, oh, you can go to lunch, you can golf, you can do this. But to be honest with you, actually, as for me anyway, having a lot of free time doesn't always equate to having fun. I think in ourself, we need to identify more with something that identifies us. So even if you retire and you're no longer in that position that you held that identified who you were, suddenly you don't have that title, but you can discover the hobbies that you like or the new shift in careers or the new shift in what you want to start doing for yourself. And then you feel that contentment within yourself. And so when you retire, or if circumstances take you to where you're unemployed, you need to shift gears, find out what you like, what you're good at, what makes you feel good, what identifies you. And that becomes your new identity. In fact, when we first discover what we want to do, it's like, where do I go from here? Where do I start from here? And I have found, because I'm a victim of getting ill, having the blanket pulled out from under me or the carpet pulled out from under me. And I was auditioning a lot in San Francisco for acting and commercial modeling jobs. And I kind of identified with that. No matter what was going on in my life, I had that was somewhat comforting to me. It was like an aspect of my life that was just mine, that nobody else that I knew locally was involved in the same type of thing. So it was just my thing. And suddenly it was pulled away from me. And I went through one of the biggest challenges was losing my identity. I said, who am I? What do I do? And it was my sister that recommended, why don't I do voiceover? So I got a microphone and I got this and that. And I started to do a bit of voiceover. And at first that was a challenge for me because I'm, I guess, what you would call a people person. I like being out there around a lot of people. And when you do voice work, you're pretty much by yourself in a studio. And I'm used to it now. You know, if I have a Frappuccino and a chocolate croissant, I'm a happy camper regardless of where I am. So that became my identity. But it was a challenge nonetheless. I didn't know and still don't know where to really start because, again, I live in a fairly, not a small town, but there's not a lot of this type of work going on. And so I didn't know where to get my information. And then I discovered Facebook groups. Regardless of what you're into, there is a group on Facebook that is into it. Some of you may know this, some of you may not know this, but you can ask questions and they will give you tips on what to do, what you're stuck on, or if necessary, where to find a class to help you. And when you do a class especially, or even these groups, regardless if you're in person or it's remote, then you meet people, and it's people of like mind, and then your whole world opens up again. Your whole life opens, you meet new people, same interests as you, and it's just the second chapter of your life. And I know change is difficult when you're going through that period where one thing is ending and you're in that limbo state. Now what? And I've talked to you about this before, about praying and meditating if you're unsure what your next step should be. But then when you find it, you turn over every stone and find out how to get information on it, how to be the best you can be at it. And the really great part is meeting other people that have the same interests as you have. And suddenly you have this new identity, and you have new friends, and you end up walking just a little bit taller because you have become you again. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about it. It doesn't even matter if they know about it. The point is, it makes you feel good internally. And I've talked to you, I think, in the last episode, that it doesn't matter what's going on around you. It's how you feel within yourself. And when you find something that identifies you, you feel good. And it comes with challenges, of course, trying to get information on how to do it, especially if it's something that you've never done before or you don't know anyone that's doing the same thing that you're interested in. And now I've moved on to actually another phase. I still do the voiceover auditions, and I'll talk to you about that another time. But I had a friend over, and he's an artist, and I felt to ask him, what should I do now? What should my next best chapter be? And he said, well, you have all the equipment. Why don't you do a podcast? And I got to tell you, I have never listened to a podcast. I mean, I knew what they were, but I wasn't really that familiar with them. So I started looking online, see what in the world a podcast even is. And one thing led to the other. I felt like it was really interesting, and you might experience this too. I think when you're meant to do something, you get pushed. I mean, online, it was like one question led to the second question, and I felt like I could never stop even if I wanted to. I was pushed until the next thing you know, I'm signed up on this platform. And one thing led to the other, and so now I'm doing these podcasts. And I got to tell you, I love doing this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to leave my contact information because I would like to hear any questions or any comments that you have. So I think the best way to do that would be on Facebook. Direct message me. And you can find that under Lynette, Lynette, Rubino, R like Robert, U, B like boy, INO, dash, Meeklitz, MIEGLITZ. That's M like Michael, IE, G like George, LIT like Tom, Z like zebra. And I would love to hear any questions or concerns that you might have. And I will do my best to set it up so anybody can leave me a message. But anyway, back to what we were talking about. So it's important to let go of the past, because if you're hanging on to those old memories, those old ideas, in fact, some people refer to it as the good old days. They're not necessarily the good old days, because when you were really living them, they're probably a bit different than we remember them. But I hope they were good experiences. But it doesn't matter, because if you're always holding on to the past, then you're not leaving room for new experiences and developing new memories, new positive thoughts, new positive emotions in your new life. So cherish the past. It's good that it happened. It's made you who you are today. But also get excited and look forward to developing new experiences, new memories, new emotions. And try to make these emotions even more positive than they were in the past. So when you look back or you think about what you're developing into, you do it fondly. You do it with excitement. You do it with good, positive emotions. So regardless of what's making us change our identities, the kids are growing up and leaving the nest, and you were super mom, and that's what you identified with, or your career change, or retirement, or you got a physical disability and you can no longer do what you used to do. Remember that old title, that old hat you wore. Remember it fondly, but also remember that life is just starting in a new direction. I believe sometimes we're meant to be something. If we trust that our walk in life is divinely directed and things happen or circumstances happen that redirect us. We want to go to the right and something is forcing us to the left. We can go kicking and screaming, or we can just accept that possibly going to the left, although it wasn't necessarily what you wanted, is a direction you should go. And it opens up a whole new way of life for you, a way that you never thought of, that you can embrace and that is better than you have ever known. So don't get worried if you're getting close to retiring, or if the kids are leaving the house, or if you're changing jobs, or you're disabled and you can't do what you thought you were going to do. There is an endless supply of things out there that you can do regardless of what your situation is. And it's fun to turn over every rock and see what would guide you to that decision or that hobby or that goal, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't necessarily mean to be a career, but something that identifies you as to who you are. I have a friend that she paints pictures on rocks, and I would have never thought of that. But that's who she is, and she's very good at it, and the rocks are wonderful. But it's something I would have never thought of. So you want to figure out what you want to do next. And if you don't know, you can start with praying and meditating. I personally really believe in those intention boards where you put pictures of your goals on a board and it sends it out to the universe. But also sometimes you're guided to the right person to talk to, or an epiphany, like a light bulb will go off. When I very first got diagnosed, I was at the grocery store and I saw this old teacher that I had. And I said, "What are you doing now?" And she said, "I'm teaching speech pathology at the local college." So she gave me a business card. So anyway, I thanked her, said it was good to see her, all of those things. And then I went home and it was like a light bulb went off. I think I'm interested in that. So anyway, long story short, I went back to college and I became a speech pathology assistant. Well, I got certified as one. And then my illness got worse and I couldn't even do the job, although I was certified and licensed. So again, turning over that rock, finding out what's next. And that's when my friend came over and I said, "What should I do? What do you think I should do?" And he mentioned the podcast. And one thing has led to another with that. Although, as I mentioned earlier, the technical part is still a challenge for me. And I'm trying my best to learn it. But I do love the talking part. And I wish all of you the best. I wish you turn over that rock and find exactly what you want to do. And if you're at the point right now where you're kind of in limbo, you're kind of searching and you don't know what direction you want to take, just be patient. Quiet your mind. It will come to you. And if you feel led to talk to somebody, do it, because you never know who's out there, who's, in my opinion, an angel to give you some direction, some resources. And then when you find out something that you're interested in, a good place to start is one of these groups that have like-minded people in them. And then classes, you can meet people who are interested in the same things you're interested in. So it's kind of fun. It's not, well, there's that cliche about it's not the destination, it's a journey. But it really is. It is the journey. And it's so exciting to meet fun new people and to feel better about yourself as you take steps and get stronger in your craft, whatever it is. So with that being said, God bless you. I wish you the best in turning over those rocks and finding what the next best chapter in your life is. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.